Welcome to the talk show called Allowed to Talk. And on today's show, I'm going to continue reading another couple chapters of the book I wrote about a year or so ago called Who Took My Self-Esteem? Inner Critics Are Like Trolls. I'm going to continue reading on chapter 14, Fears. Practice makes perfect. As a young child, I was afraid of the dark. I used to beg my mom or my dad to leave a small light on overnight. The answer was always no. The excuse was that it will raise the electric bill. After my mother said the "Now I lay me down to sleep" prayer, she would snap out the small light above the double bed my sister and I shared. I would fling the blankets as fast as I could over my head. That is how I slept through the night. We had no heater upstairs, so during the winter this was just fine. In the summer, I would sweat a bit overnight. I used to wake up in night terrors where I would be trying to scream for someone and nothing came out. I used to wake up and would see shapes of things in our bedroom. The first and last time my mother left me sleep in bed with them was the night I had an accident in their bed. I had a pee accident in their bed. I would never be allowed to crawl in bed with them again. Living on a farm, when the sun went down, it was very dark in the house. There were no street lights in the area either. I feared my parents too, not in reverence, but in scared for my life kind of fear. My mom would rant and scream for us to do or stop something. I would walk around like walking on eggshells because my dad used to explode in rages when he lost it. The thing he raged about might be something simple, but he would go off in a fit of rage when he finally exploded. No child should have to be raised fearing for their life while growing up. When I babysat for my oldest sister, I was terrified that her husband would come home drunk, which he did quite often. I feared not being able to pass to the next grade every year in school. I feared that no matter what I did, it would never be done right for my parents. I believed that too. I never did anything right. I started having anxiety very young. No child should grow up being anxious about anything. As an adult, I started to fear taking a vacation or going out of town. Every time I went somewhere, someone in my family died. When I went to basic training for Pennsylvania Army National Guard, my Uncle Johnny died. When I went to classes in another state for the Pennsylvania Army National Guard, my grandma died. When I went to the beach for 2 weeks, my cousin Bertha died. When I went to annual training for the Pennsylvania Army National Guard, my brother-in-law Jim died. So, I started blaming myself when people would die. I was afraid to go away for an extended period of time. I wondered who would die while I was away. The last death I blamed my actions on was my very own mother's. I never put pattern sheets on beds upside down. The day my mom died, I had made the beds and put the sheets on upside down. I believe it was my fault for not making the beds properly. I was starting to show mental health issues from my childhood. After I joined the Pennsylvania Army National Guard, I attended basic training with the regular Army. I was trying to do it all perfectly. I was nominated for the American Spirit Award and went before a panel of regular Army sergeants. I lost only to a soldier that was in the regular Army. I was trying to do nothing wrong ever. How scary is that? I was hired for a full-time Pennsylvania Army National Guard computer job, and I met a lot of gentlemen during that time. A soldier that was married and expecting a baby in the near future taught me how to play solitaire and pinochle. Card games my mom played but never taught me. After that weekend training, this soldier followed me to downtown and pulled beside me in his car. And I was in my car. I rolled down my window. He asked me to go out for a drink with him and see where that leads. I refused and told him to stay faithful to his wife. He was killed in a car accident the next day. I blamed myself. I was afraid of men and dating after the first 2 fails, and I believed seriously that all men were cheaters. I prayed for answers, and this is when I was 19, 20 years old. I prayed for answers. I asked God, what should I do? The answer that I received from God was date Tim and his last name. I dated him for 6 months and we were going to get married in the spring. We married earlier because I got pregnant. I had a miscarriage 1 week before our wedding. Yes, I blame myself for that too. Along with the guilt and blame, I was still searching for validation and approval from someone. I didn't know I could only get that validation when an adult. When you're an adult, you can only get that validation from one person. That nurturing and validation you should have got as a growing child when you're real little, up to age 4 especially. You can only get it once you're an adult from one person, yourself. So I could only get validation from one person, me. My husband and I got pregnant again and I had a beautiful baby girl. Right before her second birthday, my sister that was married to my husband's one older brother planned a family trip to Florida. That trip was so much family fun. Before the trip, my husband's only younger brother brought his new girlfriend to our home. She was the sweetest girl ever. I immediately loved her. She was so nice and said all the right things to me and about me. I now know this is called love bombing. Before I found out about love bombing, I idolized this woman for about 5 years. I was finally getting validation from someone who loves me for me, I thought. She married my husband's younger brother a couple of years after we had our second beautiful baby girl. We did lots of things together. There were red flags, but I didn't want to see them. I was too busy hearing her tell me how great I am and her actions that mirrored me so well. I confided in her a lot about my childhood and just how very much I was so very afraid that all men were cheaters. I grew up around so much infidelity. They had a baby girl and needed a babysitter. When her husband's co-worker quit her job to babysit, the husband of this lady got very jealous of the relationship between my sister-in-law's husband and his wife, which my sister-in-law's husband is my husband's youngest brother. I didn't realize how much my sister-in-law needed her life to be perfect. When I said, if her husband is that jealous, then that is the right thing that he did. She cut the conversation short, and we joined our husbands in the living room that evening, because we were over there for dinner that night. This was the beginning of the gaslighting, something I did not know was so horrendously powerful and could emotionally destroy someone like me. I was clueless, and I only put 2 and 2 together many years later, actually. All the puzzle pieces fit perfectly. During the next month, my sister-in-law did a 180-degree turn and was very cold and shallow to me. She would say comments that only a scorned woman would say to their lover's partner, such as, I wish you would take me along on your second honeymoon. She bought the exact same style and color of bathing suit I told her my husband picked out for me and wore it swimming at our house. She ignored me at picnics and followed my husband around our yard. Her husband was at work because he had started a new job. She would sit right next to my husband at Sunday school when I would get up to count the collection and take attendance. Her husband had just started a job that was 3 shifts, 8 to 4, 4 to midnight, and midnight to 8. So he worked swing shifts like that. And the picnic he was working, I think, 8 to 4. And she always helped me in the kitchen, but after this conversation, which I totally forgot we had, she was following my husband around the yard. Things that I told her that really bothered me. Go figure. And I thought she was the sweetest, nicest, loving person in the world. And there's no way she would gaslight people. So I went to the deep end and thought they were in love with each other and having an affair. That infidelity was happening with my husband and my sister-in-law. Remember, I found my other sister with my other sister's husband in the bathroom, kissing, necking. I forgot the conversation we had about her babysitter's husband making her wife quit. I was distraught, feeling violated, and absolutely believed that she was having an affair with my husband. My husband and I fought furiously about this for months and months. When we were moving to a bigger home, he wanted his younger brother to help us move. I did not. He punched me in the side of my face. I cried. We called his older brother John for help. We got none. All we got from his family is that I am no doubt crazy, making things up, and I'm having a nervous breakdown. My husband and I went to counseling many times. I believed he loved his younger brother and his younger brother's wife more than he loved me. I believed he did have an affair with her. They either had an affair or she is a toxic manipulator who took all the past heartache I confided with her about and gaslit me big time. Or gaslighted me big time. I don't know the proper way to say that. Anyway, no one in my family of origin or my husband's family believes me, except for one person, my sister Jean. I was having more anxiety and more panic attacks. I didn't want to go outside of my house, and I would be ruminating over and over again about my sister-in-law and her actions. Months later, I remembered the babysitter conversation. I asked to speak to her at my mother-in-law's house. We went into the backyard of my mother-in-law's house alone and sat on lawn chairs. I asked my husband's younger brother's wife if she did these things because she is upset with me. Narcissistic wound, which I didn't say then because I didn't know what that was back then. She's upset with me because of my statement that sided with her babysitter's husband when he made the babysitter quit. When he made his wife quit babysitting. She, my sister-in-law that's married to my husband's younger brother, she, quicker than a melting snowball in the hot sun, stated that she would never have an affair with her own brother-in-law. If she wanted to have an affair, it would never be with him. She could not and did not even remember that conversation with me about her babysitter quitting. Wow. I was not only wrong, I was labeled crazy, and my husband's family all agreed with that. This conversation was only 3 or 4 months before this when I believed this affair was happening. And if she forgot, the truth is she's a pathological liar. She didn't forget. Or she really is that cruel, mean, and hateful. My sister that's a year and a half older than me is married to his brother, one of my husband's older brothers. She said she did not want to be in the middle of anything, but I can feel her feelings well. She definitely believed I am just plain crazy. Sweet, fake sister-in-law could never intentionally gaslight with sick mind games. Never, never, ever. For years I was hoovered, sucked back into doing things with my husband's younger brother and his wife. I forgave and tried to be around her. She was cruel and said smart remarks about things that were close to my heart. I always would feel so violated after spending time in her company. I did not want to be near her for any reason. My oldest daughter and her family moved to a southern state, so my husband wanted to move to the Midwest to live close to our younger daughter and her family. The time passed since the gaslighting mind games. It was over 25 years and I still had no answers. Was I the toxic person? I was searching for answers and was loving a new online video service. I typed the word narcissistic. That's hard to say, narcissistic. I typed the word narcissistic into the search line and up popped the video from Sam V. He is a psychologist who is an expert in narcissistic personality disorder, NPD. I listened intently to what Sam had to say about NPD, and then I said out loud, "That sounds exactly like what my sister-in-law was doing to me." I finally found the answer. I started posting videos I made on this video service and sharing them with my family of origin. I was still terrified to talk to them face to face about my childhood. When we were back in Pennsylvania for a funeral, I started to confide in my one sister once again. I was not going to give up, but she said, in a voice exactly like my mom used to use on us, "Just don't talk about it." Anyone who knows anything about healing from narcissistic abuse knows that you must have talk therapy to heal. You need to talk about it. If you have discovered that you were abused, neglected, and are traumatized as a child and are searching for validation and believe you found the perfect person, whether it's your boyfriend, girlfriend, spouse, family member, or friend, or co-worker, that is too good to be true, run as fast as you can from that relationship. And do not confront or confide in your parents or siblings about this. Get yourself healed by going to counseling and doing things Sam, Richard, and Ross, and so many more on the online service recommend to do from the abuse. Chapter 15. Love. Love yourself. You are allowed to love yourself too. This is right to do. You love others and love yourself also. Stop blaming yourself for the inner voices you hear in your head, the inner critical voices that you remember from childhood, what your parents or mother or father or siblings say to you. It's like a little troll in your head telling you all the horrible things your parents and siblings said to you when you were a child. You believed them too. Now you have to undo that damage. It starts with something only you can do for yourself. Of course, a trained counselor or coach will be able to help you to do this. You can do it alone if you choose to do it that way. The only one who can nurture and validate you after your parents and caretakers failed to do so is you. I found the videos on the online computer site in 2016 and immediately started making videos about the truth I found. Only my sister Jean believed me. My husband, after many times visiting a counselor about this, finally believes me too. I had over 100 videos, some goofy and silly, and some so very, very serious. I did these videos to convince my family of origin about the truth, which they still don't believe and are happy with their easy answers. I also made these videos for myself. I talked and got a lot off my chest, which helped me tremendously. Please love yourself and help yourself by doing what I believe will help you heal, because I know it helped me heal. Love yourself. Chapter 16. Self-talk. After going to a psychologist for more counseling on how my childhood has resulted in my post-traumatic stress, complex post-traumatic stress which is very complex, repeated verbal abuse, neglect, and trauma, I learned that in order to heal and not have negative responses, I needed to detoxify my brain, detoxify my mind. All the negative inner critical voices in my mind that convinced me that I am worthless and I'm a nobody would have to be changed, rewired. I needed and wanted that so bad. In order to do that, I followed the simple but difficult instructions. I took a good look at myself in the mirror at least 5 times a day. I would say words to rewire my mind and thoughts about me. I would talk around 1 minute every time, saying comforting words like a caring mother would say to her child. I repeated, Kay, you are a good child. I love taking you away. I love going places with you. You are such a caring child. You try so hard and always progress in the things that you do. You are so sweet and will always be sincere and do the best that you can. You are doing fine. I will always love you and care for you. You are such a good kid and always doing kind things. You are doing good things. I love you very much, little Kay. I always hope the best for you. You are fun to be around, and I love you. It was hard for me to say those words to myself. I did it for like 5 or 6 months, every day. Repeat this kind of self-talk at least 5 times a day, at least for 3 weeks or more. 5 weeks to a few months might be necessary to make the truth stick in your mind. If you don't want to say the nurturing, mothering words every time, you can make a recording of the nurturing self-talk and listen to it 5 or more times a day. Flashbacks of childhood neglect will clog your mind with hurt. Some memories will trigger the hurtful flashbacks of words and actions and deeds that almost destroyed you from your childhood and the toxic manipulating bullies from your past, like my sister-in-law. Talk words that are soothing, just like a parent would speak to their child that they love dearly. You have to do this to nurture yourself. It takes weeks and sometimes months of faithful doing, but it will be worth it. When you are having thoughts of the past neglect and you start to have a flashback, self-talk yourself out of it. I am the owner of my thoughts. And this is how Richard G. Use your hand. There's 5 steps. I am the owner of my thoughts. They are mine. I can and will tell the troll in my head to be my best supporter and cheer me on like a cheerleader. And I can say no to people and smile. Whatever I need to do myself, I would do. I am allowed to have any emotion, and I'm feeling that I feel, and I'm feeling, and I can respond rationally. I can respond logically. You can change the inner critic, negative voices in your mind. You are allowed to have your emotions. Even feel like you want to have a fit of rage. And then you can respond with love for yourself and acknowledge that you're having an emotion. Your emotions will be regulated then. Your self-esteem will become healthy again. You will love yourself finally. And I do love myself and love others. I don't like everything people do. It's just the other day when I was with my grandkids that are age 10 and 12, she'll be 13 soon, but they said, when I said something about let's go, and I said, let's go, move it, like a drill sergeant, they said, you hate people. I said, no, I don't hate people. I just don't like people, what they do and what they say sometimes, Even myself, when I do something wrong, I don't like it. Who would? So I'll start the next show with chapter 16. Anyway, that's the end of the reading for today. And the next reading I have will be the finishing up of this book, Who Took My Self-Esteem. And I don't want my family to say, oh, we were wrong and we're sorry and we were so bad to you. I want them to say, yes, I understand why you would fall for someone and have narcissistic abuse because of your childhood. You can't change the past, and I can't just get over it. I had to heal from it. But they just dig their heels in more. But anyway, I hope you're having a great night or day or what time it is for you, because it's getting to be evening here. And just take care, and I hope you're having a wonderful time, and God bless.